Doctor Who is one of those shows that actors can never fully shake. You can appear as a cannon fodder supporting character in a single episode, and for the rest of your career, that will be the most iconic thing you've ever done. You'll be attending fan conventions and signing autographs for decades, and it will be the thing you get asked about the most on social media and in interviews. Now sure, the vast majority of Doctor Who actors would probably return if asked to, but there are times when said actors, from main stars to companions to one-off supporting characters, have publicly discussed that idea, openly declaring their wish to step back into the TARDIS for another jaunt around the universe. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with Who Culture, and here are 10 actors who want to return to Doctor Who. Number 10, Michelle Gomez. Michelle Gomez last played the wickedly funny villainess Missy in 2017 Series 10 finale, where she was seemingly killed off by her prior, rather angry incarnation. However, in typical Master fashion, Missy survived this apparent demise and soon went on to torment the 13th Doctor. Gomez's infectious energy made her an instant hit with fans, and she clearly had a blast in the role, so it's no surprise that she's eager to return at some point in the future. In 2019, the actress told Radio Times that she was completely open to stepping back into Missy's shoes, expressing particular interest in squaring off against Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, stating, "Oh gosh, yeah, of course I would. I'd love to have a little run around with her. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'm completely open to it, and I'd love to see Missy come back in and just get to play again." With Whittaker set to regenerate at the end of 2022, a Missy 13 showdown doesn't seem to be on the cards. But hey, who knows? Maybe Chris Chibnall has managed to squeeze that confrontation into November's centenary special. Number 9, Billie Piper. After leaving the show in 2008's emotional Series 4 finale, followed by a brief cameo in 2010's The End of Time Part 2, 50th anniversary special The Day of the Doctor saw Billie Piper return to Doctor Who, swapping the down-to-earth charm of Rose Tyler for the steely power of the Time Lord superweapon, the Moment. As for another return to the show? Well, there was a time where she seemed completely disinterested in the idea, telling The Guardian that she wouldn't go back. But in recent years, she does seem to have warmed to the idea, explaining in a 2021 video that if the circumstances and story were right, then she would be more than willing to step back into the TARDIS, adding that she's now been away from the show long enough to start to miss it. Rose is one of the most popular companions to come from the modern series, and seeing as it was Russell T Davies who created her, it would seem somewhat poetic for him to include her in his second era as showrunner. Number 8, Alex Kingston. The story of River Song was wrapped up beautifully in the 2015 Christmas special. But there are so many reasons why it would make sense for River to come back. Chief among these is her wibbly-wobbly timeline, which makes it easy to say that her next adventure takes place anywhere between Let's Kill Hitler and the Husbands of River Song, with little explanation necessary. Combining this with the fact that she's one of the most fun companions in the show and a perennial fan favourite, and it's no surprise that Alex Kingston is gunning for River to reappear, declaring that "I love the character and I think that there are wonderful potential opportunities down the road" in a 2019 interview. With such an open-ended timeline, it wouldn't be a shock to see River pop up for another one-off adventure. She is the Doctor's wife after all. Number 7, Carole Ann Ford. As companion Susan Foreman, Carole Ann Ford's last Doctor Who appearance was in 1983's The Five Doctors. We don't talk about dimensions in time. So it's been a fair old while since we saw her in the role. Despite this, Ford clearly doesn't feel like she's lost that spark or that she's rusty. In a 2020 interview with SFX magazine, the actress was asked if she wanted to return to the show, perhaps for an adventure with Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, to which she responded in the affirmative. Ford also told a hilarious story about the time she visited Peter Capaldi on the Doctor Who set. According to her, Mr. Attack back eyebrows, danced around the TARDIS singing, "I want you to come back, I want you to come back," which prompted her to think, my god, I'd love to work with him. A photograph of Susan famously appeared on the 12th Doctor's desk in the Series 10 opener. So if we take this to mean that the Doctor is still thinking about her, then there is an inbuilt story reason to bring Susan back. That and the fact that the First Doctor literally promised Susan that he would visit her again, a promise he has yet to fulfill. Number 6. David Tennant. Since regenerating into Matt Smith in early 2010, David Tennant's 10th Doctor has been in so many comics, video games and audio dramas, and a starring role in the 50th special, that it never really felt like he truly left. Given his willingness to come back for all those expanded media projects over the years, it isn't a surprise that he's also keen to return in an on-screen capacity, stating in a 2019 interview that he'd love to see a 60th anniversary special that united him with Whittaker, Capaldi, Smith and Eccleston's Doctors. In a more recent 2021 interview, he added, "Anything is possible. Never say never to anything." Given the 10th Doctor's popularity being as high as it is, and Tennant's old pal Russell T Davies returning to spearhead Doctor Who in 2023, it almost seems inevitable that we will see Tennant don the Converse and brown coat again within the next few years. Number 5. Georgia Tennant. Whenever the subject of abandoned Doctor Who plot threads is raised, one that almost always gets mentioned is the fate of Jenny, the Doctor's daughter. Though Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat have jokingly revealed that she flew into a moon and died, we don't know what she's been up to since her last on-screen appearance 14 years ago. Actress Georgia Tennant, David's wife, was never asked to return to the show, but to this day she continues to hold out hope that the call might arrive. In a recent chat with Metro, Tennant stated that she would obviously return to the show if asked, adding that she even has her own storyline in mind. "I like the idea that she's sort of gone off and had a couple of kids and she's let herself go a bit, and she's enjoying her life, and then someone comes back and goes, 'No, come on, you've got to go back to work.'" Considering that the Doctor believes Jenny to be dead, there's quite a lot of dramatic potential for reuniting these characters on screen. And if the 14th Doctor is a woman, it would be interesting to see Jenny's reaction to her father's new look. Number 4. Paul McGann. As Doctors go, Paul McGann's 8th is in a unique position. Having not been granted a full series of television, audiences don't know his Doctor as well as they know the rest of them. So it almost feels like a no-brainer to bring him back. McGann himself also shares this stance, telling Doctor Who magazine in 2016 that he feels like his on-screen tenure isn't yet over, and that there's a bit of potential in an 8th Doctor return. He then jokingly added, "I'm younger than Capaldi," before explaining that if he were to return, then the story reasons would have to be compelling. The positive response to The Night of the Doctor proves that there's still a hunger for McGann's take on the Time Lord, and it just feels right for him to get his due. Number 3. Matt Smith. Matt Smith has made the jump to Hollywood since leaving Doctor Who in 2013, with starring roles in Terminator Genesis, Netflix's historical epic The Crown, Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho, and this year's Morbius. Like Karen Gillan, it almost feels like he's getting too big to step back down into the relatively low-budget world of Doctor Who. But despite all his success, he still wouldn't mind donning the tweed jacket and bow tie at some point in the future. In fact, in 2017, he didn't just tell MTV that he wants to come back. He openly declared that he will be back one day. Yeah, why not? I'd come back if the timing was right. Look, I'll be back one day when I'm old and grey, which isn't far off. Much like the 10th Doctor, 11's popularity makes him one of the top candidates for a return. And with Smith still being so young, he could get away with playing the role for many decades to come. Number 2. Christopher Eccleston. For well over a decade, the narrative surrounding a potential return to Doctor Who for Christopher Eccleston has been that he will never do it in a million years, primarily due to the poor experience he had during his short tenure on the series in the mid-2000s. And while it's certainly true that he has problems with the way the show was run during his brief tenure, the actor does seem to have softened on Doctor Who in recent years and has even opened himself up to a potential on-screen return. Many fans thought they'd never see Eccleston return to play the 9th Doctor, Doctor in any capacity, and yet in 2020, it was announced that he'd be reprising the role for a series of Big Finish audio dramas, a clear sign that he wasn't totally averse to dipping his feet in Whoniverse waters. More recently, he's gone one step further, indicating that he'd be down for a proper on-screen return, just not in a multi-Doctor special, stating, "The Ninth Doctor in particular is a one-man band, definitely. So he doesn't work with other Doctors. If you want me back, you get me on my own." With Eccleston's rocky history with the show, it does feel unlikely that we'll see him picking up that sonic screwdriver once again, but the chances of it happening have increased slightly in recent years. Number 1. Catherine Tate. In early 2021, it was reported that Catherine Tate had been spotted in Liverpool at the exact same time that Doctor Who were filming Series 13 in that city. And while it was later revealed that she very much wasn't in Liverpool, this flimsy rumour caused quite the stir in Doctor Who fan circles. So you can imagine how hyped people would be if Donna Noble did actually return to the show. Fortunately then, Catherine Tate is very much open to the idea, telling The One Show, "No one's been in touch, but I'm on the same number, I'd just like to say. So if you've got the money, I've got the time." Donna is another character closely associated with returning showrunner Russell T Davies, and so on the surface at least, that does increase the chances of him wheeling her out for another spin. You simply cannot contain the best 10-pin Chiswick. And that concludes our list. If you can think of any other actors who would be willing to return to Doctor Who, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.